Chicago today. Whoa. They're trying to do this in Chicago, right? Like they care more about everybody else in Chicago, apparently. They're fighting ICE every chance they get. They're being asked in one particular case over the weekend to come and aid some ICE officers. And the police wouldn't even respond. They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to. Think about that, you guys. I mean, because Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, I don't know what he's trying to do. Trying to ignite some kind of real divide between federal and state. I mean, the kind like, you go back to the days of Lincoln. This is not good. Or shall I say, go back to the days of 1963 Alabama and George Wallace when you had to send the National Guard in to make sure the kids could go to school together because George Wallace wanted to fight that. But guess what? There's this little thing called the Supremacy Clause in the U.S. Constitution that means the federal government, when push comes to shove, they're the ones in charge. And in this particular case, Congress has been charged constitutionally with making sure that we have Americans here. And if people are here illegally in the country committing crimes, they have to get out. So it's kind of simple, Brandon Johnson, if you think about it for 2 seconds, but we get it. You got your point of view. Let's listen in.
Executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
So ICE-free zones, I mean, wasn't it supposed to be a sanctuary city anyway? So now they're not going to allow ICE? So this is now bordering on basically obstruction. Okay, so this actually hands the courts a very promising argument for the federal government. If you think about, if you sat back and said, we're just not going to help, we're just not going to help at all, you could say that that wasn't actually getting in the way of, you're just standing by the sidelines, right? But if you actually say, okay, we're not going to allow ICE in here, it's the same, sorry guys, as George Wallace standing in front of the schools saying, I'm not going to let you in because of the color of your skin. You can't do that, Brandon Johnson. That's when you're starting to take things to a whole other level. And I know where the Supreme Court is going to come out on this, and you're not going to win. So what is the actual goal here? I want to go through what Tim Lyons, the acting director of ICE, is saying. He's like, they won't even help us. But by the way, it's going beyond they won't even help us now, because you heard there from Brandon Johnson himself, who made it very clear they're establishing these ICE-free zones. So what are they going to do? So you're not allowed to come here? If ICE tries to come in, what are they going to do? Seriously, is this going to be like a physical altercation against ICE? Didn't La Monica, I know you love it when I say that. I love saying it. La Monica, didn't she actually figure that out the hard way? Because now she's been indicted and she's looking at 17 years in the slammer because she decided to allegedly, give somebody the right hook outside the Delancey Hall in Newark, New Jersey, the ICE detention center, because she decided to take on federal officers. You can't do that, even as a member of Congress. So Brandon, before you go on and on about these ICE-free zones, I would highly recommend you spend a little time with your lawyers, because your lawyers are going to tell you this is like kind of Civil War type stuff, all right? You can't do it. You just can't do it. It's one thing, and it's bad enough to say you won't help. It's another thing to say we're going to wall this off. Tim Lyons, acting director of ICE, saying, this is just despicable. This is not what you expect. When officers are in need, and our ICE officers were in need over the weekend in Chicago, guess what? The police wouldn't answer the call.
You get a call on the radio, 1033, an officer assist call, you show up. What do you make of not only the audio evidence, but also the real life experience of your federal agents of them not showing up to the call?
Hey, Lawrence, yeah, it's sad, because seriously, all law enforcement will respond to any other brother or sister in law enforcement that's in need. And that's what didn't happen here in Chicago. You have 30 Border Patrol agents that are being swarmed, pinned in, attacked. She has a firearm in the vehicle. They have to return fire. Yet the officers of Chicago PD are told to stand down. it just shows where we're at right now with the sad state of law enforcement going on in Illinois, is the fact that you had other federal officers under attack, yet because of politics and because of the way some people feel about immigration enforcement, they did not come to the aid of federal law enforcement officers.
You also have bounties now, according to the Secretary of Homeland Security, against some of your officers as well?
We are, yeah. Can't really get into it because of criminal intelligence in some of the cases we're working, but we've seen an uptick in actual bounties, photos of agents and, agency leadership as being targets of attack by gangs and cartels. It really just has to stop. And again, all the men and women of ICE are going out there and enacting the laws that Congress has written. It's a law enforcement mission. We do it every day. We've been doing it for decades. Yet right now, the men and women of ICE are in the crosshairs.
I mean, it's unacceptable. Apple did take down, by the way, some of these ICE tracking apps, so that was a good thing. The DOJ had a bit of a win there, but the fact that they're trying they're trying to dehumanize these ICE officers, and they're saying, oh, well, the ICE officers are dehumanizing migrants. The ICE officers they're there to actually do the job that Congress has requested they do. There are laws on the books that don't allow you to come to this country illegally, certainly not come to this country and commit a crime and be here illegally. So one of the things that happened over the weekend was there was a raid on an apartment building because there were Agua gang members inside. And when they do one of these raids, as Tim Lyons also explained, they have to actually get everybody out and find everybody. And look, it's not pleasant, but for goodness sakes, you get criminals in the building, you got to get them out. And I don't really know if there's another way to do this, guys. Maybe if the Chicago police would help, it might be going a little bit more smoothly. But that's not happening because of this guy, BJ.
The moment that we are in, Chicago was built for this moment. Immigrants from around the world, descendants of slaves, have come to this city to make it the global capital of the world. And now we stand in a moment that is testing our very humanity, and the city of Chicago will stand the test of time.
Okay, so I guess he's not going to help. No, he's not going to help. And you know who's not too pleased about it? The head of Homeland Security, one Kristi Noem. Let's look at her speaking on Fox just this morning.
Has a less than 6% approval rating in Chicago. So the people who live there, less than 6%, think he might be doing somewhat of a good job. Overwhelmingly, that man is a failure. He's a failure for his people and hasn't stood up for the victims of the crimes that have happened in his city. So we're going to keep doing our work. Every day when we're there doing our operations, when I'm there with them, people on the streets are clapping as we do our work. They're clapping as these officers are arresting these bad criminals. And out of the 12 that we arrested during the short period of time I was there, 6 of them had criminal records in their backgrounds that the state had arrested them and just turned them loose on the street again for assault, for weapons possession, for robbery. Those individuals now are off the streets thanks to President Trump, not thanks to that mayor who's delusional at best.
She's right. I mean, he's completely delusional. I think he's just completely political, but delusional in the sense that, I mean, at some point, give it up, buddy. You got 6% approval rating. We were just talking about the Democrats being in the you-know-what, given that they only got a 30% approval rating. You only have, forgive me, was that a 34 or 50? Yeah, 34. 54 disapproval, 30% approval. And you go to Chicago and Brandon Johnson's got a lousy 6%.